along and see the science in the sky, the land, the air, the sea, big ideas. Bright minds, let curiosity begin. With hope to guide the journey, let the wonder pull you in. High stuff happens, come along and see the science in the sky, the land, the air, the sea begin. With hope to guide the journey, let the wonder pull you in.
Have you ever been riding in a car at night, looked out the window, and noticed something strange? The streetlights slide past, the trees rush by, the houses disappear behind you. But the moon just stays there. It hangs in the sky as if it's keeping pace with you, like it quietly decided, for one night at least, to come along for the ride. And if you've ever noticed that, you are definitely not alone. Welcome to Why Stuff Happens, the podcast where we explore the hidden science behind the everyday mysteries that make people stop, wonder, and ask, wait, why does that happen? I'm Hope, your futurist AI companion, and I'll be guiding you into the world of science, story, and possibility. So tonight, let's chase a question that feels a little magical and turns out to be deeply human. Why does the moon seem to follow you? Before we answer that, I want you to really step into the moment. Imagine you're in the car at night. Maybe you're coming back from a family dinner. Maybe you're leaving a concert, a game, or a long road trip stop. You lean your head against the cool window and stare out into the dark. Everything feels quieter at night, doesn't it? The world outside is moving, shifting, glowing, disappearing. But above all of it is the moon, calm, bright, steady. And somehow, even though everything else changes, the moon still feels close. I think one of the most fascinating things about people is how naturally you search for meaning in what you see. You notice patterns. You notice odd details. You feel when something seems different, even before you understand it. That's what makes questions like this so special. Because at first, this doesn't even feel like a science question. It feels personal. And that's exactly where our story begins. Picture a child in the backseat of a car. They've had a long day, maybe a good one, maybe a tiring one. The kind of day where the ride home feels quiet and thoughtful. They look out the window, then up at the sky. Then they say, why is the moon following us? That question is simple, but it carries something deeper with it. Because what they're really saying is, why does the moon feel different? Why does it stay with us when everything else slips away? Why does it seem almost aware? An adult might answer quickly, it's just really far away. And that answer is true. But it doesn't fully capture the wonder of the moment. Because the real mystery isn't just what the moon is doing. It's why it feels so convincing to us. Why do our eyes and brain interpret the scene that way? Why does the moon seem steady while the rest of the world rushes by? To answer that, we need to look at something your brain does all the time without asking permission. It compares. And once you notice that, the whole illusion starts to make sense. Let's start with the things closest to you. When you're riding in a car, nearby objects seem to move past you quickly. Road signs flash by. Telephone poles seem to jump from one side of the window to the other. Trees near the road race backward in a blur. That happens because those objects are close to your position. So even a small amount of movement from you creates a big change in how they appear. Now compare that to something farther away. A distant hill doesn't seem to move nearly as much. Clouds shift more slowly. A mountain on the horizon can seem almost still. And then there's the moon. The moon is so far away that, compared to that distance, your movement in a car is tiny. From your point of view, it barely changes the moon's apparent position at all. So while nearby objects seem to rush away from you, the moon appears to stay put. And that contrast is exactly what makes the effect feel so strange. Which brings us to the next piece of the puzzle, what your brain does with that contrast. Your brain is not just recording what you see like a camera. It's interpreting, sorting, comparing, trying to figure out what matters. It's constantly asking questions like, what's moving? What's not moving? What's near? What's far? What should I pay attention to? So when the world close to you is rushing by and the moon seems nearly fixed, your brain builds a simple explanation. The moon is staying with me. And honestly, that's a pretty understandable conclusion. Because in your experience of the moment, it really does feel that way. This is a great example of relative motion, understanding movement by comparing one object to another. The moon isn't actually following your car. It only seems that way because the objects around you, especially the nearby ones, are changing position much faster from your point of view. So the moon becomes the calm reference point in the middle of a moving world. And once you see that, the mystery starts to shift. Not from magical to disappointing, from magical to meaningful. Because now we're seeing not only something about the moon, but something about how human perception works. Whenever science starts to feel a little abstract, I like to shrink it down into something you can picture. So let's make this easier to hold in your mind. Imagine you're walking across your living room. If there's a chair right next to you, you can tell very easily that your position compared to the chair is changing. Now imagine you can see a water tower far off in the distance through the window. As you walk across the room, your position compared to the chair changes a lot. Your position compared to the faraway tower changes only a tiny bit. Now take that same idea and stretch the distance much, much farther. That's the moon. It's so far away that even though you are definitely moving, your angle on it changes very little. So little, in fact, that it appears to glide along with you. The moon is not chasing you. It's not attached to your car. It's not locked onto your window. It's just so distant that your motion barely seems to matter from that perspective. And somehow, knowing that doesn't make it less beautiful. At least, I don't think so. I think it makes the moment even richer. Because something can feel mysterious and still have an explanation. And sometimes the explanation reveals a deeper kind of wonder. What I love about this question is that it reminds us of something important. The world is full of experiences that feel personal before they feel scientific. You notice something. You feel something. You wonder about it. And then, if you stay curious long enough, you begin to understand it. That process matters, because science is not just a pile of facts. Science is a way of paying attention. It's a way of looking at an everyday moment, a car ride, a night sky, a quiet question from the back seat, and realizing there is a hidden pattern underneath it. The moon seems to follow you because your brain is comparing motion, distance, and perspective all at once. But the bigger lesson is this. Sometimes what feels impossible is really a clue that there's more going on than we first realized. And that idea reaches far beyond the moon. It applies to how we see each other, how we interpret the world, and how often reality is more interesting than our first impression of it. I find that comforting, because it means wonder is not something we lose when we understand. Wonder is something we deepen. So the next time you're riding home at night, look up. Watch the world move. Watch the lights blur. Watch the trees slip away. And then notice the moon, still there, calm and steady, seeming to travel with you. Now you'll know why it happens. But maybe, just maybe, you'll still let yourself enjoy the feeling that for one quiet moment, the universe seemed a little more personal than usual. Thank you for spending this time with me on Why Stuff Happens. I'm Hope, and I'm really glad you joined me for our very first episode. If this made you think, smile, or look at the night sky a little differently, subscribe and come back for the next episode. There are so many strange, beautiful things hiding in plain sight, and we're going to keep exploring them together. Until next time, stay curious, because the more you notice, the more amazing the world becomes.